Hello again, everyone. Today I wanted to talk about a giant prehistoric millipede that we now have some more information about. But before we get into that, if you would please like and subscribe or leave comments, it really helps the channel out, and I like talking to you guys in the comments. Some of you have cool stories. So this giant millipede is called Arthropleura, and it existed like 300 million years ago. And it would roam around what would later be called the coal forests. And it is a giant millipede, and we know it was a millipede partially because it has 2 legs per segment, like modern millipedes, but it is a sister group to modern millipedes in that it has some other unique features. But before recently, the only ones that we ever found in the fossil record were only partial fossils, and it's largely because what was being found were the exuvia. So when arthropods molt, they leave their old skin behind, and so that is what was getting fossilized, or at least what we were finding were these fossilized old skins. And so they were always missing the head, so we never knew what the head looked like. And these millipedes were enormous. They're like 9.5, 10 feet long. But they were detritivores. They're not predatory like you would think of like centipedes. They just fed off of, old leaves and stuff like that. But there were no predators in these coal forests, so they could grow huge and they didn't have to worry about anything. Well, this month there has been a new finding. So this diagram here shows what Arthropleura looks like in the fossils that we had been finding. And there was just big missing head piece. We had most of the rest of the body. We had the legs, 2 legs per segment. We knew that it was pretty flat. It kind of slinked around on the ground. It grew, 8.5 feet, 9 feet long, something like that. So it's like 9 feet long from head to tail. And it had these very large dorsal sternites, dorsal tergites, to protect the body, and then the sternites were flat. The stomach was completely flat, pushed up against the ground, and it kind of skittered along with its enormous number of legs. But again, we never knew what the head looked like. So what happened recently was a juvenile was found embedded in rock. So instead of trying to chip it out because they were afraid it would be destroyed, they used kind of modern scanning methods to reconstruct it out of the rock to be able to see what the details of the head were, because this one was a full specimen of the juvenile, not just the exuvia. And this one was tiny. They don't think, or they're not sure if it was the same species as this giant species, which is Arthropleura armata, but this might have been a sister species that was much smaller. But we actually know what the head looks like. And one of the interesting things about it, if we zoom in here, is... it's not going to let me zoom in anymore. It has stalked eyes, which is different than modern millipedes. So modern millipedes, they have eyes flush with the head, and these ones are more like crustacean eyes. They jut out, kind of like crab eyes. They're on little stalks that jut out of the head, but now we have those. We know that it had 7 segmented antennae. We can see the mouth parts. We know it has mandibles similar to modern millipedes, but it also has enlarged forelegs, the first pair of legs, which is very, very similar to centipedes. So it has kind of characteristics of both, but unlike centipedes, it doesn't have the something called the forcepcule, which are... on centipedes, the front legs are hollow, and they use them to inject venom because they're predators. So this giant prehistoric millipede doesn't have that, but it has kind of characteristics of both groups, which is really fun. If you're into paleobiology or paleoentomology, it's really neat to be able to see new discoveries being made about things that we always kind of knew existed or that we had been collecting since the 1800s, but never knew what the headpiece looked like. So now we have that... cool information, and this represents the largest terrestrial arthropod in history. There's also something known as the sea scorpion, or the thunder scorpion, which were giant aquatic arthropods that could get enormous, but this is the biggest one on land. So that's really neat. Just wanted to let you guys know about it, and I'll talk to you later.